Hi, welcome to Miss Richardson's U.S. History 5-minute lectures. This information will be U.S. Notes 4.1, Early Cold War People and Terms. It includes information that aligns with the first section on your study guide, so use that as you take notes. Now remember, you have control over the lecture, so pause whenever you need to, write down questions you have and bring those to class, and re-watch this if you need, and make sure you're using that study guide. Let's go ahead and get started. Today I want to make sure that you are familiar with some of the people that will appear in this unit, as well as some of the terms that you'll hear. First, let's talk about the people. Harry S. Truman. Truman became President of the United States when FDR died in 1945. Remember that Truman's the one who made the decision to drop the atomic bombs on Japan and to end World War II in Asia, in order to end World War II in Asia. He ran for president on his own in 1948, and he won. So he'll be the president we're talking about most in this first section of the unit, and then we'll move on to some other presidents. Joseph Stalin, our second person. Stalin was the dictator of the Soviet Union from 1924 until his death in 1953. You should remember that he was part of World War II, he helped make the decisions at the Yalta Conference regarding the end of World War II, and he was the first Cold War leader of the Soviet Union. The other Soviet leader that you're going to need to know during this unit is Nikita Khrushchev. Khrushchev did not immediately follow Stalin as the Soviet leader, but he did rise to power following Stalin and took over most of Stalin's leadership positions by 1958. He remained the leader of the Soviet Union until 1964. So most of the early Cold War policies and actions you'll hear about will either be from Stalin or from Khrushchev. There were some other leaders in there, but nobody that we'll really talk about. Those are the two that you need to know for this class. During this time period, we also had Winston Churchill as the Prime Minister of Great Britain. He allied with the U.S. against the Soviets in the Cold War as well as in World War II against Germany. So now those are the people you should know for the start of the unit. Let's look at some of those terms that you need to know in order to understand this time period. First, communism. Communism is an economic system, not a government type, in which total equality exists. In theory, all members of the group share all goods and money equally. The government controls the markets, the manufacturing, the services, and the costs so that everyone is treated equally. This theory is the exact opposite of the next term, which is the belief that the American economic system is based on. That belief is capitalism, which is our next term. It's based on individuality and merit. The theory behind capitalism is that every individual can choose what job they want to do, what business they want to have, how much they want to sell their product for, and so on. That allows for freedom of choice, and that means that individuals can get ahead, so to speak, based on hard work and innovation. Obviously, communism and capitalism are really different. Neither works in real life as they do in theory, and they are a threat to one another. You cannot have both of those happening in one country. America is based on a capitalist system, and if you support communism, you're a threat to the entire economic system of America. This idea that these two threaten each other is the basis for the Cold War. The last term you need to be familiar with is satellite nation. A satellite nation is a country that is near an ally. This term in the Cold War is used to refer to many of the Eastern European countries that, while not actually a part of the Soviet Union, they were communist and they were near the Soviet Union. Their governments were often also controlled or very heavily influenced by the USSR. And they traded with the Soviet Union. They became military allies as well. These countries, which surround the Soviet Union, gave protection and power to the Soviets during the Cold War. So that's actually the end of U.S. Notes 4.1. If you have any questions, make sure you bring them to class. Otherwise, I hope you learned something.